Hello everybody, it's your boy, the Chaotic One, and welcome to Decision 2022, September 2022 edition. It is now time for the 7 p.m. poll closings. Both parties are hoping to make gains tonight. We can project that we are having an R+2 national environment here tonight based off of exit polling. So we are seeing a more Republican-leaning year than we did in 2020, which was a Democrat +4 year. So the national environment is shifting by around 7 points. And out of Indiana's Senate race, we can project that Todd Young will win re-election to another term in the Senate. He will go on to defeat Tom McDermott Jr., the former mayor of... I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm terrible at this. But Todd Young will go on to underperform the national environment, winning by around 18 percentage points over McDermott. And out of Kentucky Senate race, Rand Paul will go on to win another term to the Senate, defeating Charles Booker by around 33% or 27 percentage points. Excuse me. He will go on to outperform the national average, winning by around 27 percentage points over Charles Booker, who underperformed severely in the suburbs compared to what many national Democrats thought he was going to do. And out of South Carolina Senate race, Tim Scott will easily cruise to another term as a senator from South Carolina. This could be his last term, as he has hinted that he will be retiring in 2028. He will defeat Crystal Matthews by around 32 percentage points, a massive victory for Tim Scott, maxing out in the rural areas and doing phenomenal in the suburbs of South Carolina, as well as in the Black Belt counties of the state. Going on to Vermont Senate race, Peter Welch will be elected to his first term in the Senate, defeating Gerald Malloy. There was a poll that came out recently that Gerald Malloy was only 7 points behind Peter Welch from Trafalgar. However, that does not seem to be the case, as Peter Welch will go on to win by 28 points, defeating Gerald Malloy. However, Malloy does end up becoming the first Republican since 2004 to win more than one county in Vermont. And out of Georgia Senate race is currently too close to call. Raphael Warnock has a big lead over Herschel Walker. However, this is just the Atlanta metro area coming in right now, which is heavily favoring Raphael Warnock. And here is the current Senate makeup thus far. Democrats have the lead at 37 seats to the Republicans' 32 seats. Democrats don't have to make any gains tonight. They don't. Republicans, they need to make just one gain in order to gain a majority. But Democrats, all they have to do is defend every single seat here tonight, and they're safe. And now the governor race, out of South Carolina's governor race, Henry McMaster will go on to win a second term as governor. He will defeat Joe Cunningham by around 21 percentage points, underperforming Tim Scott's numbers. However, Joe Cunningham is doing a lot better than Crystal Matthews in the suburbs, especially in his former district of South Carolina's 2nd Congressional District down in the Myrtle Beach area, where he would go on to win that county down there. And now out of Vermont's governor race, Phil Scott will go on to landslide to another term as a governor, winning every single county, defeating Brenda Siegel by close to 40 points. A 39-point victory for Phil Scott, it looks like here. And now out of Georgia's governor race, currently too close to call. Stacey Abrams currently leading Brian Kemp by around 16 points, underperforming Raphael Warnock's numbers right now, continuing the trend of Brian Kemp doing what many people thought he was going to do, and that was outperform Herschel Walker's numbers here tonight. And now here's the current governor map thus far. Democrats have 6 seats and Republicans have 10 seats. Republicans don't really need to make any gains here tonight to keep their seats, while Democrats really need to make around a gain of 3 to 4 seats here tonight in order to gain a majority in the National Governors Association, which they would have for the first time since 2010 when they lost it and haven't gained the Governors Association since. And now here is the current House results right now. Democrats have won 13 seats to the Republicans' 32 seats. Several districts are currently too close to call right now. However, this is currently what the House race is looking like. Republicans currently have a lead, but those are, of course, coming from red states with a lot of red counties, or a lot of red districts, such as Kentucky, and Indiana, and South Carolina. It is now 7:30 p.m., and the following states have poll closings. Out of Ohio Senate race, J.D. Vance will go on to win his first term to the Senate by double digits. Many pundits thought this race was going to be a lot closer. However, J.D. Vance Granted, underperforming the national environment, which would see him winning by over 15 points, is only having him win by 12 points, as Tim Ryan does better in his area of Youngstown, Ohio, Mahoning County, and doing just all across better in the suburbs than your typical Democrat in this environment. And so, due to him campaigning as a moderate, though some people say he could have campaigned as much more moderate as his early days in the House when he was pro-life. Fun fact, he could have done a lot better, made this race more competitive, but J.D. Vance will go on to win by 12 points at the end of the day. Now over in North Carolina Senate race, currently too close to call. Cherry Beasley has a 14-point lead over Ted Budd currently. This is all coming from the Raleigh-Charlotte area currently. Now, out of Georgia Senate race, still too close to call. Raphael Warnock now has a 12-point lead over Herschel Walker. We now have the suburban margins coming in from across the state, as they are now breaking for. It seems like Raphael Warnock currently has a 2-point lead in our suburb numbers right now, but of course that is all subject to change. Now, and here is the current Senate battle for power. Democrats have 37 seats, Republicans 33 seats. Democrats currently have a 4-seat lead right now. Out of Ohio's governor race, we can project that Mike DeWine will easily cruise to re-election. With Donald Trump's endorsement, he does a lot better in the rural areas. Due to this, Neil Peterson cannot maintain enough support in these rural areas. With Trump's support, DeWine will end up winning by around 19 points over Nan Whaley. Doing very well in the suburbs and maxing out in every rural area. Pretty impressive victory for the governor of Ohio. Now, out of Georgia's governor race, we can project that Brian Kemp will go on to win his second term as governor, going on to defeat Stacey Abrams by around 5 percentage points. He will go on to beat Stacey Abrams by 5 points. Stacey Abrams doing much better in the suburbs right now than Raphael Warnock is. However, Brian Kemp is doing phenomenally in the rural areas and as well as the Atlanta metro area or the Atlanta suburbs. However, outside of the Atlanta suburbs, Stacey Abrams doing pretty well to hold her own. However, this is a likely margin victory for Brian Kemp, solidifying a term as governor. Now, here's the current battle for power for the Governors Association. Democrats have not gained a single seat, currently at 6 seats for the Democrats, and Republicans are at 12 seats. Now, about 13 seats away from taking back or retaining their majority in the Governors Association. 14 seats. And for the House composition right now, Democrats gained few seats as they now have 18 seats currently, and Republicans have 51 seats. Republicans have a huge lead right now, but as we get farther and farther in the night, Democrats are expected to make this gap a lot narrower, as many people are saying that Democrats are going to lose anywhere from 5 to 15 seats in the House, if not, maybe gain a couple. We'll just have to wait and find out. Granted, R+2 national environment. And now it is 8 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of Alabama Senate race, we can project that Katie Britt will go on to win her first term in the Senate, succeeding retiring Senator Richard Shelby. She will go on to defeat Will Boyd by around 33 percentage points, winning 2 counties in the Black Belt, which is a pretty impressive victory for the Republican and Katie Britt. Out of Florida Senate race, a race that many people thought was going to be a lot more competitive. However, that does not seem to be the case, as we can call Marco Rubio's victory right now as poll closings, as he will go on to defeat Val Demings by around 11 percentage points, even winning Miami-Dade County, which is a county that is very blue, that trended far to the right in 2020 and is now going to be a red county in this election. We'll just have to see if that trend continues in 2024. And at a Missouri Senate race, Eric Schmidt, the Attorney General of Missouri, will go on to win his first term in the Senate, succeeding Roy Blunt, as he will go on to defeat Trudy Valentine by around 21 percentage points, maxing out in the rural areas here in the state and doing very well in the suburbs of the state as well. And going on to the first of 2 Oklahoma Senate races, James Lankford will go on to sadly win another term as governor, defeating Madison Horn. There are 2 Horns running for Senate in Oklahoma. I wonder if they're related. Probably not. As he will go on to defeat Madison Horn by around 41 percentage points. And, of course, the special Senate race in Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, the congressman from Oklahoma's 4th district, if I'm not mistaken, will go on to defeat Kendra Horn, the former congresswoman, as he will go on to defeat her by roughly the same margin. And now we have the call for the Democrats out of Connecticut Senate race. Richard Blumenthal will have a closer than expected victory over Leora Levi, winning by 10 percentage points. This race was not supposed to be competitive. People had this as safe, but this is still a safe margin of victory. However, it's still a bit too close for comfort, as it's only a 10-point margin for victory for Blumenthal. Very close. Republicans could have put a bit more money in it to make it competitive. However, Blumenthal will still win by a pretty decent margin. However, not that decent for a deep blue state such as Connecticut, which is trending red. And now out of Illinois Senate race, Tammy Duckworth will go on to win another term, I believe her second term as a senator from Illinois, defeating Kathy Salvi by 12 points, doing very well in downstate Illinois, as she is quite popular down there. However, Kathy Salvi does better in the Chicago suburbs in the northeast, or northwest of the state, as she has very strong performance up there. Now, out of Maryland Senate race, Chris Van Hollen will go on to win another term as Senate. He will go on to defeat Chris Chaffee by around 25 percentage points. Chris Chaffee doing a lot better in the suburbs than a typical Republican would. Not as good as someone like Larry Hogan could have done, which could have made this race competitive. But Larry Hogan decided to run, and we got Chris Chaffee, which not a bad choice, but if Maryland was a swing state, Chaffee probably would have been the best choice for the state. However, it's a deep blue state. Van Hollen will go on to win by a safe margin. And out of New Hampshire Senate race, currently too close to call. I know Don Bullock's the nominee. I made this before he was the nominee. Maggie Hassan is currently leading Chuck Morse by around 18 percentage points. A race that is going to be super competitive here tonight. Maggie Hassan barely won this seat in 2016, and now she has a tough challenge ahead of her with Chuck Morse. And out of Pennsylvania Senate race, currently too close to call. John Fetterman leading Mehmet Oz by 16 points in the state of Pennsylvania. A state that many people say is an easy victory for John Fetterman here tonight, though we still have quite a bit showing right now, and John Fetterman's currently underperforming in his urban numbers right now coming out of Philadelphia. And now we can make a big projection for Republicans out of Georgia's Senate race. Herschel Walker will go on to win this seat outright, defeating Raphael Warnock, gaining the first seat for Republicans. He will defeat Raphael Warnock by 2 percentage points, barely crossing the 50% threshold, winning just enough of the suburban vote to take the state home for the Republicans, probably for the last time. And here is the current composition of power for the Senate. Democrats still lead at 40 seats, with Republicans not that far behind at 39 seats, with a gain out of Georgia. And now for the governor races, Kay Ivey will go on to win another term as governor of Alabama, defeating, Flowers. She will defeat Yolanda Flowers by 33 points, also winning 2 of the Black Belt counties. And out of Florida's governor race, Ron DeSantis, another race that people thought was going to be a lot more competitive than it is. Ron DeSantis will go on to win a second term as governor of Florida by 11 points, around the same margin as Marco Rubio. Out of New Hampshire's governor race, Chris Sununu will slide into victory easily when winning every single county, winning by 30 points over Tom Sherman. Very easy victory for the governor of New Hampshire. Out of Oklahoma's governor race, Kevin Stitt will go on to win another term as governor, defeating Joy Hoffmeister by 35 points, underperforming Mullen and Langford in the state. And now out of Tennessee's governor race, Bill Lee will go on to win another term as governor, defeating Jason Martin by 19 points, underperforming what people thought he was going to do. We are not sure why he's underperforming. It could be due to some corruption scandals he's been having recently. And now out of Illinois' governor race, J.B. Pritzker will go on to win another term as governor, being touted as the Democrat Ron DeSantis, as he will go on to defeat Darren Bailey by 12 points, around the same margin as Tammy Duckworth. And now the first to flip for the governor races, this time going to the Democrats. Out of Maryland's governor race, Wes Moore will be elected to the governor's mansion of Maryland, defeating Dan Cox, becoming the only black governor currently in the United States once he is inaugurated. I know, shocking, we don't currently have a black governor. He will defeat Dan Cox by around 25 points. Dan Cox, with his strength in the rural areas, not so much in the suburban areas. And we have another gain for the Democrats in the governor's races, this time coming out of Massachusetts. Maura Healey will be elected as governor, defeating Jeff Deal by around 28 points. Jeff Deal doing very well with ancestral Republicans in the state. You know, he's not far right. He's a Rockefeller Republican with populist leanings, so he does very well with ancestral Republicans here. But Maura Healey will still defeat him very easily. Now, out of Rhode Island's governor race, Dan McKee will go on to win his first full term as governor, defeating Ashley Kalus by 12 points. This race was never going to be competitive. Ashley Kalus doesn't have enough name recognition to make this race competitive in a progressive state with a progressive popular governor. Now, out of Connecticut's Senate race, currently too close to call, Ned Lamont currently leading Bob Stefanowski by 32 points. A big lead for Ned Lamont right now. But we are expecting this race to be a lot more competitive than people are making it out to be. Now, out of Maine's governor race, currently too close to call, Janet Mills has a 16-point lead over former Governor Paul LePage. Paul LePage currently doing very well in polling right now, making this race super competitive. Probably one of the most competitive races here tonight. Out of Pennsylvania's governor race, too close to call, Josh Shapiro currently leads Doug Mastriano by 16 points. A race that Democrats and Republicans both alike are spending a lot of money. Both candidates just being awful all around. Vote third party. And so we have to see how this ends up. Either way, Pennsylvania is screwed. Now, and here is the composition of power for the governors. Democrats have 10 seats to Republicans, 17 seats. Republicans getting closer and closer to that 26 number of winning seats. They just need 9 more governor mansions to win. And now here's the composition of power for the House. Democrats getting a lot more seats, this time at 66 seats. However, Republicans also getting a lot of seats, breaking the triple digits at 111 seats. However, you need 218 to get a majority. Let's see who gets there first. It is now 8:30 p.m. We now have poll closings out of the state of Arkansas. And out of Arkansas Senate race, no surprise here, John Boozman will go on to win another term as a senator, defeating Natalie James by 36 points, winning several Black Belt County states on the east side of the state. Or counties, excuse me. Out of New Hampshire Senate race, currently too close to call, Maggie Hassan has a 4-point lead over Chuck Morse. Pennsylvania Senate race, still too close to call, John Fetterman has an 8-point lead over Mehmet Oz. And here's the current composition of power in the Senate. It's currently tied. Both parties have 40 seats apiece. This is anyone's game here tonight. And out of Arkansas's governor race, Sarah Sanders will be elected to her first term as governor, defeating Chris Jones by 35 points, the same margin as John Boozman. And out of Connecticut's governor race, we can make a call right now. This is a blow to Republicans who wanted another northeastern governor's mansion to add to their collection. Ned Lamont will go on to win another term as governor by a much larger margin than 2018, winning by 8 points over Bob Stefanowski. Bob Stefanowski not running a good campaign compared to his 2018 run, where he spoke about kitchen table issues. This time, he's speaking about social issues instead, which is alright, but he's not doing it in a good way. Ned Lamont will end up winning by 8 points. Out of Maine's governor race, still too close to call, Janet Mills currently a 10-point lead over Paul LePage. Pennsylvania's governor race, too close to call, Josh Shapiro has an 8-point lead over Doug Mastriano. And here's the current composition of power for the governor's races. Democrats have 11 seats to Republicans 18 seats. And the composition of power for the House, Democrats have 82 seats to the Republicans 125 seats. It is now 9 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of Kansas Senate race, Jerry Moran will be elected to another term in the Senate, defeating Mark Holland by 23 percentage points, if I'm not mistaken. 27 points, actually. He will go on to defeat him, Jerry Moran, an electoral juggernaut here in the state of Kansas. Out of Louisiana's Senate race, John Kennedy will break over 50% to avoid a runoff election. John Kennedy winning another term as Senate, defeating Gary Chambers. He will beat him by 30 or 27 points, doing very well here in the state, being one of the only Republicans running. Out of North Dakota Senate races, one of the most underrated senators in the Senate, John Hoeven, will go on to win another term to the Senate, defeating Kristen Christensen, that's her name, by 41 percentage points, a big victory for John Hoeven. Out of South Dakota Senate race, John Thune will be elected to another term in the Senate, defeating Brian Bings by 41 points, doing very well in the South Dakota suburbs. And New York Senate race, Chuck Schumer will win another term to the Senate, the current majority leader. He will go on to defeat Joe Pinion by 25 points. And out of Arizona Senate race, currently too close to call, Mark Kelly has an 8-point lead over Blake Masters. Out of Colorado Senate race, too close to call, Michael Bennet leading Joe O'Dea by 20 points. Wisconsin Senate race, too close to call, Ron Johnson currently having a lead right now over Mandela Barnes by 2 points, which is not a good sign if you wanting to win in a state like Wisconsin. A Democrat really needs the lead when polls close. At a New Hampshire Senate race, too close to call, Maggie Hassan has a 2-point lead over Chuck Morse. At a Pennsylvania Senate race, too close to call, John Fetterman has a 6-point lead over Mehmet Oz. And here's the current composition of power for the Senate. Republicans currently have taken the lead. Republicans have 44 seats, so the Democrats 41 seats. Again, Republicans have now taken a narrow lead over the Democrats, which could spell doom for their chances of retaining the majority. And out of Colorado's governor race, Jared Polis, the true Democrat Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, has won another term as governor, defeating Heidi Ganahl by 13 points, running even with Joe Biden's 2020 numbers. And at New York's governor race, Kathy Hochul will win her first full term as governor narrowly for New York is what I mean. She will defeat Lee Zeldin by 10 points. Lee Zeldin doing phenomenal in the suburbs of the state, going phenomenal in upstate New York in the areas he needs to do, doing great in Richmond and Long Island, his territory, doing better, getting Curtis Silva numbers in Queens, New York. Very good numbers for Lee Zeldin to get him to a 10-point victory or a 10-point loss. A race that Republicans could have spent more money in to make it competitive, but they didn't, and Kathy Hochul will go on to slide into re-election. Out of Nebraska's governor race, Jim Pillen will go on to win his first term as governor, defeating Carol Blood by 28 points. Out of South Dakota's governor race, corrupt Governor Kristi Noem will win another term as governor, defeating Jamie Smith by 35 points. Out of Texas governor race, Greg Abbott will go on to outperform expectations as always and win another term as governor right at poll closing, defeating Beto O'Rourke by 13 points, double-digit victory in margins, doing phenomenal in the suburbs and doing better than expected in the Rio Grande Valley than what we'd expected since that's Beto O'Rourke's territory. Out of Wyoming's governor race, one of the most popular governors in the country, Mark Gordon, will go on to win another term as governor of Wyoming, defeating Teresa Livingston by 51 points. Maxing out the rural areas, as well as doing a lot better than Trump in the suburb county in Wyoming. Out of Arizona's governor race, too close to call, Katie Hobbs has an 8-point lead over Kari Lake. Out of Kansas governor race, too close to call, Derek Schmidt has a 2-point lead over Laura Kelly. Out of Michigan's governor race, too close to call, Gretchen Whitmer has a 10-point lead over Tudor Dixon. Out of Minnesota's governor race, too close to call, Tim Walz has a 20-point lead over Scott Jensen. Out of New Mexico's governor race, too close to call, Michelle Grisham has a 14-point lead over Mark Ronchetti. Out of Wisconsin's governor race, too close to call, Tim Michels has a 6-point lead over Tony Evers. And that we can now make a big projection for Democrats, a major blow for Republicans. Out of Pennsylvania's governor race, Josh Shapiro will go on to win his first term as governor, defeating Doug Mastriano. A lot of money was spent here by Republicans, but Josh Shapiro will run even with Joe Biden just enough to defeat Doug Mastriano, winning by 1%. Big victory for the Democrats here tonight as they keep the state of Pennsylvania. Out of Maine's governor race, too close to call, Janet Mills has a 6-point lead over Paula Page. And here's the current composition of power for the governors. Republicans just 4 seats away from retaining a majority at 22 seats. Democrats currently at 14 seats. And here's the composition of power for the Democrats as they have now hit triple digits. Democrats have 130 seats while Republicans have 188 seats. I think it's clear that Republicans will be the first to hit 200 seats, but can they hit 218 seats? We'll just have to wait and find out. It is now 10 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of Iowa's Senate race, Chuck Grassley will win re-election by the narrowest margin. However, it's still a big margin of victory. He will win by 20 points, defeating Michael Franken. However, this is the most narrowest victory for Chuck Grassley. And out of Utah Senate race, Mike Lee will win another term as a senator, defeating Evan McMullin by 21 points in the state of Utah. Out of Nevada Senate race, currently too close to call, Catherine Cortez Masto has a 4-point lead over Adam Laxalt currently. We can now make a call out of Colorado Senate race. Michael Bennet will go on to win another term as senator. I think it's 3rd term, defeating Joe O'Dea by 5 points. Mitch McConnell put quite a bit of money into this race for some reason. I said he would back Joe O'Dea, despite him saying he would buck the establishment in Mitch McConnell. Very weird. But Joe O'Dea has lost to Michael Bennet by 5 points. This is Colorado. It's becoming a very blue state, very liberal state, a very progressive state. Joe O'Dea really didn't stand a chance here. Out of Wisconsin Senate race, Ron Johnson will win re-election by a much larger margin than expected, defeating Mandela Barnes by 5 points in the state of Wisconsin, doing very well in the Driftless area as well as the Fox counties in Wisconsin in the suburbs, doing very well here. Mandela Barnes, a very anti-America attitude during his campaign, really turned off voters of all kinds, honestly, and Ron Johnson just cruised to re-election. And out of Arizona Senate race, too close to call, Mark Kelly currently has a 4-point lead over Blake Masters. New Hampshire Senate race, too close to call, Maggie Hassan has a 1-point lead over Chuck Morse. Out of Pennsylvania, too close to call, John Fetterman has a 2-point lead over Mehmet Oz. And here is the current composition of power in the Senate. Republicans just 4 seats away from regaining the Senate, 4 seats away. They currently have a 5-seat lead over Democrats with 47 seats, and the Democrats 42 seats. Out of Iowa's governor race, Kim Reynolds will win re-election to governor, winning by 18 points. A big victory for Kim Reynolds, most likely being carried by Chuck Grassley, defeating Deidre DeGier. Nevada's governor race, too close to call. Joe Lombardo has a 2-point lead over Steve Sisolak, outperforming Adam Laxalt's number currently due to his massive presence in Clark County. Out of Kansas's governor race, Derek Schmidt will flip this seat to the Republicans, defeating Laura Kelly. He will go on to defeat her by 6 points. Laura Kelly doing a lot better with moderate voters and independent voters. But Derek Schmidt still was the environment was against Laura Kelly, and she loses to Derek Schmidt. Out of Minnesota's governor race, Tim Walz will go on to win another term as governor, defeating Scott Jensen by around 5 points. The Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin City area turned out big this year, and it's impossible to win Minnesota with a high turnout from the Twin Cities. And Tim Walz defeats Scott Jensen by 5 points. Out of Wisconsin's governor race, we could project that Tim Michels will go on to win his first term as governor, defeating Tony Evers, outperforming Ron Johnson. He will win by 7 points over Tony Evers, as the state's economy is not doing great right now. He doing really well with working class voters compared to his 2004 loss to, I don't remember who he was running against in 2004. I think it was Russ Feingold, where he got fucking destroyed. However, this is a different environment, different day and age. He's now going to make a political comeback, defeating Tony Evers by 7 points. Out of Arizona's governor race, too close to call, Katie Hobbs has a 4-point lead over Carrie Lake. Out of Michigan's governor race, too close to call, Gretchen Whitmer has a 6-point lead over Tudor Dixon. Out of New Mexico's governor race, too close to call, Michelle Grisham has a 10-point lead over Mark Ronchetti. Out of Maine's governor race, too close to call, Janet Mills has a 2-point lead over Paul LePage. And here's the current composition of power for the governors. Republicans just need 1 seat to retain the majority. If they don't, then it's a tied governor's race, which hasn't happened for a while. Our Governors Association, Democrats need 11 seats. So it's really not anyone's game. It's really Republicans to lose right now. But Republicans having a very good night with the Governors Association. And here's the current composition of power for the House. Democrats have 135 seats to the Republicans' 205 seats. Republicans only need 13 House seats to win the House of Representatives. It is now 11 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of California's Senate race, Alex Padilla will win his first full term to the Senate, defeating Mark Muser by 21 points. Winning here, of course, Hispanics turning out for Alex Padilla in droves. Out of Hawaii Senate race, Brian Schatz will go on to win another term to the Senate, defeating Bob McDermott by around 22 points. In Oregon Senate race, Ron Wyden, an electoral juggernaut in the state, will go on to defeat Joe Ray Perkins by around the same margin Joe Biden won the state, 16 points. Good victory for Ron Wyden in a very polarized environment. Out of Idaho Senate race, Mike Crapo will go on to win another term in the Senate, defeating David Roth by around 39 points, it looks like. Out of Washington Senate race, currently too close to call, Patty Murray has a 20-point lead over Tiffany Smiley, as the Seattle numbers are coming in right now. Out of Nevada Senate race, currently too close to call, Kathleen Cortez Masto has a 2-point lead over Adam Laxalt. Arizona Senate race, too close to call, Mark Kelly has a 2-point lead over Blake Masters. Out of New Hampshire Senate race, too close to call, a statistical tie between the two candidates. Out of Pennsylvania Senate race, too close to call, John Fetterman has a 1-point lead over Mehmet Oz. And here's the current composition of power for the Senate. Republicans at 48 seats and Democrats at 45 seats. Out of California's governor race, Gavin Newsom, despite the power outages happening in California, will go on to win re-election by a very wide margin, winning by 21 points, very similar to Alex Padilla. Brian Dahl doing very well in the red counties, as you can see here, doing quite well for himself, despite just being a state senator. And out of Hawaii's governor race, Josh Green, the lieutenant governor to the unpopular governor David Ige, will go on to win in first term as governor of Hawaii, defeating Duke Aiona by 21 points. Duke Aiona winning fucking Kawaki County, I think. I'm not good with county names, I'm sorry. Out of Idaho's governor race, Brad Little, a very popular governor in the country, will go on to defeat Stephen Haidt by 39 points. Out of Oregon's governor race, currently too close to call, a three-way race currently, as Tina Cote currently has a 2-point lead over Christine Drazen, and Betsy Johnson, a third-party candidate, former state senator, at 22%. Out of Nevada's governor race, a big victory for Republican Joe Lombardo with his strength in Clark County will go on to win Nevada by a lean margin, flipping the seat for Democrats, defeating Steve Sisolak. That should be the other way around, I'm sorry. He will defeat Steve Sisolak by 1 point. Very close election for Republicans in the state. However, Steve Sisolak, who was pretty much riding the Reid machine here, has just lost to Joe Lombardo with his strength in Clark County as well as the surrounding rural areas. And out of Arizona's governor race, Kari Lake will go on to defeat unpopular, terrible candidate Katie Hobbs. She will defeat her by 2 points, even winning Maricopa County, which is pretty good for Kari Lake and Republicans, considering the fact that, everything was going against Kari Lake, especially with her talking about the fucking 2020 election. Now, out of Michigan's governor race, too close to call, Gretchen Whitmer has a 2-point lead over Tudor Dixon. Out of New Mexico's governor race, too close to call, Michelle Grisham has a 6-point lead over Mark Ronchetti. Out of Maine's governor race, too close to call, Janet Mills has a 1-point lead over Paula Page. And here is the current composition of power for the Senate. Republicans have taken control, or will remain in control of the National Governors Association as of right now for the next year until 2023, but it doesn't seem like Democrats are at 17 seats and are looking to lose seats, actually, despite gaining 2 seats in Massachusetts and Maryland. And we can now also project that the House majority will go to the Republicans for the first time since 2018 when they lost it, which was a Democrat plus 9 national environment. They will regain the House of Representatives, and they currently have 223 seats, so the Democrats 182 seats. It'll be interesting to see if Democrats can hit 200 seats here tonight, and how narrow or how wide the Republican majority is by the end of the night. It is now 1 a.m., the final poll closing of Alaska, and out of Alaska's Senate race, currently too close to call. We have the round 1 results here right now, and as you can see here, Lisa Murkowski at 32%, Kelly Tshibaka at 29%, Pat Cheshbro at 24%, and Buzz Kelly, the best candidate, at 6%. Buzz Kelly's 6% will be given to the other 3 candidates in the second round. And we can now make a projection out of Washington Senate race. Patty Murray will go on to win another term in the Senate, very narrowly defeating Tiffany Smiley by 9 percentage points, doing very poorly in the suburbs of the state. And Tiffany Smiley not maxing out Washington's rural areas, but doing very, very well here. And the current composition of power in the Senate, 48 seats for the Republicans, 46 seats for the Democrats. Very, very, I'm just sweating thinking about it. Oh, boy. And now out of Alaska's governor race, the first round results are over. Mike Dunleavy at 44%, Bill Walker outperforming all expectations at 26%, Les Gara at 22%, and Charlie Pierce, the far-right mayor of Coonaville or something, at 8%. And we can now make a big projection for Republicans. All the memes are coming, man. All the memes out of Oregon's governor race. Christine Drazen will flip the Oregon's governor race. She will defeat Tina Kotek and Betsy Johnson by 2 points in the state. Betsy Johnson winning counties that were in Kurt Schrader's district, doing very well here, doing very well in the suburbs of Oregon. But relatively, she took votes away from both Drazen and Kotek, but she, let's say, her 2/3 of her votes coming from Democrats and 1/3 coming from Republicans. Let's say that. That's the hypothetical I'm going to be throwing out. But Christine Drazen will go on to defeat both her opponents by 2 points in Oregon. A big victory for Republicans here. And here is the current composition of power for the governors. Republicans at 29 seats and Democrats at 17 seats. And now taking a look at the House race, Democrats, it looks like they will be cracking 200 seats here. And Democrats have 199 seats, and Republicans will have 228 seats. It is now 1:15 a.m. We can now make a call out of Nevada Senate race, and out of here, Adam Laxalt will go on to win this state, gaining it for the Republicans, defeating Mosto by a tilt margin by 0.8%. Very narrow here, not doing as well as Lombardo in Clark County. However, he does better than him in the rural areas. Mosto outperforming Sisolak in Washoe County. It's now 1:30 a.m. We can now make updates out of Alaska. Out of the Alaska Senate race, here's the second to last round results for Alaska. Lisa Murkowski at 34%, Kelly Tshibaka at 32%, and Pat Cheshbro at 25%. Buzz Kelly's numbers being split among the three candidates. And we can now make a projection that with Pat Cheshbro being taken out, there's only 2 Republicans left in Alaska, Murkowski, Tshibaka. That essentially guarantees that the majority will go to the Republicans and they will regain the Senate. And now let's take a look at the governor's race. In first place, Mike Dunleavy, very, very close to that 50% margin. Mike Dunleavy at 48%, Bill Walker at 28%, and Les Gara at 24%. Les Gara being taken out for the final round. It is now 1:45 a.m. We can now make a call out of Arizona Senate race. Mark Kelly will narrowly defeat Blake Masters in this state, doing a lot better with independent voters than Katie Hobbs, and much better, as well as moderate voters and even moderate Republicans who refuse to vote for Blake Masters, despite all these moderate Republicans coming out to campaign for him. He will win by 0.4%, a very narrow margin in the state of Arizona. But that proves Mark Kelly is an electoral juggernaut here if he can survive a frickin' red wave year, R+2 year, so you can consider that a red wave, a moderate wave, I don't care. And it's now 2 a.m. We can now make calls out of Alaska. Out of Alaska Senate race, Lisa Murkowski, despite all the opposition from the Alaska Republican Party, as well as Donald Trump and God who knows who else, she will go on to defeat Kelly Tshibaka by around 8 percentage points. She will go on to win by 8 percentage points here in the state of Alaska, doing very well in the rural and suburban margins of the state, while Tshibaka does very well in the urban areas of the state I know, and yes, I know what I just said. And now we can make a call at the governor's race. Mike Dunleavy, no surprise here, considering how well he was doing in the other rounds, will go on to defeat Bill Walker, despite Bill Walker winning the most of Les Gara's support. Enough of Les Gara's support went to Mike Dunleavy, where Dunleavy will go on to win by 16 points, defeating Bill Walker. And Bill Walker and my dreams are dashed of him becoming governor. It is now 2:15 a.m. We can now make a call out of New Hampshire Senate race. Maggie Hassan will once again just barely survive Chuck Morse and the Republicans, winning by 0.2%. Probably the closest Senate race here tonight. Just barely surviving. And that is just tough for Republicans. They cannot get rid of this chick. And she's like the Democrat Rick Scott. She tries to win as narrow as she can, it seems like. It's now 2:30 a.m. We can now make a call out of Pennsylvania. We can now project that Mehmet... Sorry about that, the computer froze. But we can now make a big projection for Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania. Mehmet Oz will outperform Doug Mastriano. This was expected. Everyone with a brain knew this was happening. Mehmet Oz will go on to defeat John Fetterman. It looked like a lost cause in the early stages of the campaign. However, after the debates, Mehmet Oz clearly matriculated himself over John Fetterman and will go on to do very well in the suburbs of the state as well as in Erie County and white working class. Not so much rural areas. John Fetterman does better here than Josh Shapiro, but Mehmet Oz will defeat John Fetterman by around 0.6%, a very narrow victory for Mehmet Oz. It is now 2:45 a.m. We can now make a projection out of Michigan, and a big blow to Republicans once again as Gretchen Whitmer, another candidate for the Ron DeSantis of Democrats, will go on to win re-election here to another term, defeating Tudor Dixon by around 0.6%, a very narrow margin here. However, Tudor Dixon does win in Kent County. That's good, right? She does win there, but she does lose in Muskegon County, which was very important to a victory for Republicans. Gretchen Whitmer does very well in the Detroit and Detroit suburbs, just enough to win this election. It is now 3 a.m. We can now make a call out of New Mexico's governor race as a blow to Republicans who spent quite a bit of money here. Michelle Lujan Grisham will go on to win another term as governor, defeating Mark Ronchetti by 0.2%. Very narrow. Ronchetti was destroying Grisham with Hispanic voters. However, he was getting wrecked in the urban areas just to a point where, he couldn't come back. Michelle Grisham will win by 0.2%. Re-election for Democrats. It is now 3:15 a.m. We can now project that Maine's governor race will be decided via ranked choice voting, but Janet Mills is being as the decided factor as the winner of this race. She will go on to defeat Paula Page by 0.9%, very close to that 1% margin to make it lean, but she will defeat Paula Page very, very narrowly. And of course, here's the final Senate composition of power. Republicans have 52 seats, gaining 2 seats with Nevada and Georgia, and Democrats have 48 seats. And the composition of power for the governor's races, Republicans make a gain of 2 seats, winning 30 seats, and the Democrats have 20 seats. And here's the composition of power for the House. Republicans have 231 seats, gaining about 20 seats in the House, and Democrats have 204 seats. And here is the map, as you can see here. As you can see, the darker colors are the gains, and Democrats made quite a few gains from Republicans. They took some seats from Republicans. They took Steve Chabot's seat, they took Mike Garcia's seat, David Valadeo's seat, John Katko's seat. Looking to see if they took any other seats. They took Peter Meyer's district. So yeah, they even kept Alaska's seat just due to ranked choice voting. Of course, that is it. Nothing more. But there you go. Republicans, of course, making a net gain of 20 seats. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a long, long video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.